I'm honored to be here this afternoon to speak about online safety and the threats facing our children across the country. As school leaders, educators, safety professionals, and public servants, we have a profound duty not only to protect our children on school grounds and in our communities, we have a fundamental obligation to protect them in the digital world as well. Communicating online is a way of life for kids today. Technology has been ingrained in almost every facet of their lives from birth. Students navigate devices, social media apps, online gaming platforms, and other digital spaces with ease, familiarity, and a level of resilience many of us adults struggle to understand. When we think about online safety, then, it's important to consider what digital platforms and technology in general means to young people. For children and teens in our modern world, technology is not simply a method of convenience or a means to accomplish a task. It is not just an avenue to gain knowledge or to be entertained. Sure, kids use technology for all of these reasons as well. But for young people, technology means so much more. For them, it can serve as a setting for connection or a means to find social acceptance. It provides a forum for purpose and an opportunity to seek and discover a sense of belonging. We know that technology often holds an innate value to kids and plays a major role in how they interact, function, and form relationships with others. And because of this, technology also holds deeply inherent and intricate risks for young people, making them more susceptible to the potential dangers they may encounter in these digital worlds. Young people are also vulnerable because they are, quite simply, young. They're still learning and building up the critical skills necessary to recognize what is right and wrong, what is real and fake, and what is temporary or permanent. Kids also may not fully understand the long-term consequences of actions they or others may take. Couple that with the internet's relative anonymity, a youthful sense of invincibility, and rapidly changing digital platforms, and this creates plenty of opportunities for inappropriate and dangerous interactions online. In the last decade, online child sexual exploitation and abuse has increased exponentially. According to statistics from the Department of Justice, 1 in 5 children receives an unwanted sexual solicitation online every year. In 2023, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received 36 million reports of child sexual abuse material online. Online predators can be a family member or family friend, someone the child knows in person, or a complete stranger. These criminals are becoming more adept at using apps and other online digital platforms to reach children, to earn a child's trust, and to develop a relationship where a child feels comfortable doing things they wouldn't ordinarily do. We've also seen a rise in sex abuse content through AI, which allows offenders to create images and videos on an exponentially larger scale. This technology poses new and complicated challenges both to parents and children, as well as to law enforcement and those working to combat this crime. We have seen the misuse of AI and the manipulation of online videos and images elevate the acts of bullying and other forms of victimization as well, affecting those throughout the entire K-12 community. Finally, and perhaps most common, are the mean, hurtful, damaging, and oftentimes tragic instances of cyberbullying. While not a new phenomenon, cyberbullying continues to affect far too many of our kids. In 2020, 1 in 6 students reported being bullied online. This behavior often spills into actions in school settings as well. In fact, 88% of children who experience cyberbullying also reported in-person bullying. Students often struggle to find relief from cyberbullying because digital platforms are accessible 24/7, and the words and actions that take place online often live in perpetuity. It can also be particularly challenging for teachers and caregivers to be aware of cyberbullying because these actions don't take place right in front of our eyes. While online safety threats themselves can be complicated and difficult to understand, what is clear is the impact they have. These threats can put students' personal information at risk. They can have deep and lasting impacts on our kids' mental health and physical and emotional well-being. They can make childhood and adolescence a scary and lonely place. And for certain kids, they can present or accelerate a pathway to destructive behaviors, self-harm, or even violence toward others. The impact of these threats underlie much of what we are discussing at this year's summit, affecting everything from student mental wellness to school emergency planning efforts to how we can best identify and support students through intervention practices, just to name a few. The good news in all of this is that the country is taking notice and taking action. Government agencies, private companies, and nonprofits are joining forces to bring attention to these issues and offering resources and support to not only prevent these activities, but to help those who may have been affected. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has been a leader in this space and provides tools to report crimes or to take explicit content down. The Departments of Health and Human Services and Commerce released a report just this summer with recommendations and best practices for safer social media and online platform use. And this past April, the Department of Homeland Security launched Know to Protect, a first-of-its-kind public awareness campaign to prevent and combat online child sexual exploitation and abuse. I'm sure you'll hear more about these resources and programs from our panel of esteemed speakers shortly. But before I turn it over to them, I want to leave you with 2 pieces of advice. While these threats can feel, and be, complex and scary, there's no reason why we can't tackle them with the same mindset we do our physical safety challenges. And for that, we can lean on 2 fundamental actions, starting first with an understanding of the online environment our kids now navigate and contend with, and an understanding of the threats they face. Learn what you can about how criminals can manipulate or coerce children. Find out what the signs of cyberbullying may be, and be on the lookout for them in your classrooms or homes. And be involved and up to date on what your child is doing in the digital world. With understanding comes action. Second, never underestimate the power of communication. Talk to your children and students about online safety and how to make smart decisions. Keep the lines of communication open, and don't always wait for them to come to you to start the conversation. Use everyday opportunities to talk about your own experiences and support them without judgment when they do open up. And above all, be their safe space and the person they can turn to when they need you the most. Thank you again for allowing me to open this important session. Together, we can help make the online world a safer space for our children.